Good evening. Welcome to our first edition of Third and Dad 2020. We are in the final days of 2020, Lorenzo. We're here with first, as in the firstborn. Second and third will be coming in a little bit later on in the show. And with only 2 weeks left in the NFL season, playoff races are heating up. Lorenzo, we got some exciting games to talk about. We're going to focus in on 4 of them, so I'm going to start with the first. Baltimore Ravens 9-5 right now. They might be in the best division in football in the AFC with both the Steelers and the Browns, although the Steelers are reeling a little bit. They are going to be playing the Giants, who got hot lately, but last week came up short against the Cleveland Browns. What do you think, Ravens and Giants, going into week number 16?
For the Giants, I think what has led them to all their wins without Daniel Jones, the win streak they went on.
Right.
I think they had Daniel Jones for part of the time, but Colt McCoy had also won a game with them. I think what led to that was the Giants' defense. Giants' defense has stepped up completely. I think the urgency they felt of they can still make the playoffs even with their record not looking as good as all of the other records in the National Football League. But I just don't think this defense can withstand Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews. The Ravens have a ton of weapons. I just don't think the Giants can withstand this, especially without Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones isn't going to come back this week. It's going to be Colt McCoy. And Colt McCoy, personally, I don't think he's made much of a difference in games. I think, he may have led a couple touchdowns, but I just don't think he'll do enough for this top-ranked Ravens defense.
Yeah, I have a tendency to agree with you. I have a hard time picturing the Giants somehow beating Lamar Jackson, containing Lamar Jackson. The Ravens are getting hot at the right time. Should they get in the playoffs? Right now, they're on the outside looking in. They're in the 8th position. No one's going to want to play Lamar Jackson in the playoffs and the Baltimore Ravens. So I would agree with you on that one. I'm gonna take the Ravens as well. Yeah. Next up, we have another big playoff game, huge playoff implications. The reeling Pittsburgh Steelers, they've lost 3 in a row. So they have dropped from the number 2 seed to the number 3. They are playing the Indianapolis Colts, who are playing very good football. Phillip Rivers revitalized in Indianapolis. What are your thoughts on this game?
Phillip Rivers, I don't think anyone thought that he would have as much success as he did this season. Personally, I thought they would have a bad record, not winning, maybe middle-class record. But they've really stepped it up. I think they finally found their running back in Taylor. He got 150 yards the game before last game. I can't remember what team they were playing against exactly, but I know he had 150 yards. And then last game he had 85 yards. He had 150 yards, and they were struggling to find like a main running back, and I think they finally found their running back in Taylor. So I think if they can keep this rushing game, if you watch the Steelers last week against the Bengals, their rushing defense didn't look that good. Giovanni Bernard, they were doing it over and over again. Even Ryan Finley scored a rushing touchdown, who no one thought could even run the ball. But I think that the Colts will have a big rushing game this game, and I think the Colts will come up on top. The Steelers have lost 2 out of 3 games 3 games in a row, and 2 of those teams had losing records. What was the 13?
Good point. I can't remember right now, but we certainly know that they're in trouble. Buffalo, big win against them. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, first time in about 6 years. I believe it was 11 games in a row that they had beaten the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was broken. Cincinnati was far more physical. I have to agree with your assessment. I think Frank Reich should be at least considered for Coach of the Year. They are right in the middle of that AFC South Championship with the Titans head-to-head. I think the Colts have enough momentum and enough talent to beat the reeling Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. Let's go on to our next game. We got the Miami Dolphins, who Brian Flores, another guy, he's got to be in the Coach of the Year running. The Dolphins are the number 7 seed right now. 9 wins, 5 losses. They are playing a Raiders team who Marcus Mariota came in. Now you have a quarterback controversy on your hand. The Raiders aren't going to make the playoffs. They're 7-7. But they now have a quarterback controversy. Not always the best thing with Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota now. What do you think about the Dolphins against the Raiders?
The Dolphins against Raiders. Dolphins defense, one of the top ranked in the league, top 5 probably. Tua, I think he's improved every
He is.
single game. I think he's
Getting better.
improving. I think every game from now on is going to get better. I think this game particularly is going to be very good. I think Derek Carr is questionable to return, but it's not specifically sure if he's going to return yet. But I think if Derek Carr does not return, Marcus Mariota, I mean, he
had a
did
great
decent.
game last week.
He did good. I mean, they didn't win, but
Close.
the Dolphins defense, I just love how they're playing, and their offense is playing good enough.
Good enough to get in.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they're the number 7 seed. They control their own destiny. They win their final 2 games in the playoffs, first time in a long time. As mentioned, Brian Flores doing an outstanding job buying into his vision, his philosophy. They made the controversial change with Tua when Ryan Fitzpatrick was red hot. It worked. And I like the Dolphins also over the Raiders. I think they're going to pull it off. I think they're going to get in the playoffs. And I don't think many teams will want to face them in the playoffs. With that defense and Tua, as you said, getting better each game, it's going to be tough to beat the Miami Dolphins should they get in. And I think we both agree they are. Let's go on to our final highlighted game, and that is the Tennessee Titans at 10-4. And they are playing the current number 1 seed in the NFC, which are the Green Bay Packers. Interesting matchup here. What are your thoughts, Titans versus Packers?
The Titans, Derrick Henry, top rusher in the league right now.
Amazing
He
running
has
back.
1,600 yards right now, over 1,600 yards. Top leading rusher by far. The Packers rush. You need to have a good rushing defense
Yes.
to beat the Titans, because what the Titans offense runs on is their running game. If the
Right.
Titans don't have a running game, it's probably not going to go too well. Their passing game is very good as well, with A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, and Corey Davis.
Yeah.
But the Packers are letting up 110 rushing yards per game right now. I think that Derrick Henry's just going to run over the Packers this week. And I think the Titans will come up on top. I think if the Packers do stop the rushing game, I think that Ryan Tannehill will step up and throw the ball very well.
You know, it's an interesting matchup, as mentioned. I think you make a lot of good points. Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. He's definitely the top running back in the league at this point. Packers are quiet 1 seed. They're quiet 11-3. Titans, on the other hand, kind of in a similar situation. They're quiet 10-4, but they are battling with the Colts. This is a tough pick. I don't like the Packers football team. I never have. But I'm going to take the Packers in this game. I just have a feeling that they need to win, and they're going to. So I'm gonna go with the Packers.
Aaron Rodgers playing great football. So
Always does. He's a instant Hall of Famer, one of the best of all time.
Aaron Jones is also one of the top rushers right now too. He's top 5
For the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, so, they're getting that running game going. It's not something they're usually noted for. Everybody knows about Aaron Rodgers, but their running game has only helped them get to that 11-3 number 1 seed for right now. Well, those are our 4 highlighted games. Next up, we're going to talk about our upset special. Okay, welcome back, Third and Dad. We have our upset special segment now of the show. My upset special, Lorenzo, is going to be the Atlanta Falcons beating the totally on fire, defending Super Bowl champion, 13-1 Kansas City Chiefs. Why? I think the timing's right. Last week they had Tampa Bay beat until Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, caught fire and beat them once again at the end. I just think this game parallels Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. For the Atlanta Falcons, it is their Super Bowl. I believe they rise to the occasion. They upset the Kansas City Chiefs. Your upset special?
I don't have one particular this week, just because how close all the records are for the matchups this week. So that's how you know that this week is very important. I particularly don't have an upset special. So, I mean, Falcons Chiefs, I think that's a good pick. But I just personally don't have one.
All right, you heard. Appreciate your support. Okay, welcome to the speed round. We're here with first, second, and third, and of course, Dad. And we're going to go through the speed round with all the games this week. First up, we'll go through the games Lorenzo and I have already picked. So let's move on to the next ones. Let's go with Gabriel real quick. Vikings versus Saints.
I'm gonna go with Saints.
Saints for Gabriel. Judea, Vikings versus Saints.
Saints.
Saints. Lorenzo?
I'm going to go with the Saints. I think Drew Brees is going to have a kickback game and beat the Vikings.
It's unanimous. All four of us say Saints beat the Vikings. Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the great Tom Brady versus the Detroit Lions. I'll go first on this one. I gotta take the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, Buccaneers. Gabriel? Lions, upset there. Judea?
Bucks.
And Lorenzo?
I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers as well.
Bucks 3-1. Next game, 49ers, my team, versus the Cardinals. We know the 49ers are out of the playoff race. The Cardinals are not out of the playoffs race. I'm going to go against my beloved 49ers. I'm going to take the Cardinals. Gabriel?
Cardinals.
Judea?
Cardinals.
I'm gonna have to go with the Cardinals as well. I love how Kyler Murray's playing.
Kyler Murray, at one point MVP candidate. Clean sweep for the Cardinals. As much as that pains me to say, I still hope the 49ers win the game. Browns versus Jets. I'll start it off this time again, and I have to go with Baker Mayfield and the playoff-bound Cleveland Browns. Gabriel?
Cleveland Browns.
Okay. Judea?
Browns.
I'm gonna go with the Browns as well.
No one has enough faith in the New York Jets and
No.
Frankie Gore, the third all-time leading rusher. Clean sweep for the Browns. Let's go Bears versus the one-win Jaguars. Let's start off with Gabriel. Bears versus Jaguars.
Bears.
Judea?
Bears.
Gotta go with
Lorenzo?
the Bears. I love Mitch Trubisky. I think he's underrated personally.
And Dad is going with the Bears. Clean sweep, 4-0. Let's move on. Wow, the unbelievably excited Cincinnati Bengals, who just upset their arch rival Pittsburgh Steelers. They're playing the Texans. Bengals versus Texans. Gabriel?
Texans.
Texans. Judea?
Bengals.
Lorenzo?
I love the coaching last game by Zach Taylor, so I'm gonna have to go with the Bengals.
I agree. Zach Taylor, masterpiece in that final game. The way he used his
Finley's legs.
Ryan Finley, backup cornerback. Defense was intense in the first half. We're going to go with the Bengals, 3-1. Next up, Panthers against, I always don't like saying this, the Washington football team. Gabriel, Panthers versus Washington. Panthers is your team. Who do you think?
It's a hard one.
It is.
I'm gonna have to go with Panthers.
Panthers. Okay, Judea?
I'd say Washington.
The Washington football team.
Alex Smith and the Washington football team.
Now, you know, if Alex Smith comes back, I don't know. You know, Haskins
Is
has
he
been
hurt?
in there. Well, he was the last couple weeks. I'm not sure. I think he's questionable right now. But Washington, you go with the Washington football team?
Yeah, I thought he was coming back.
He might.
All right.
Washington football team. I'm going to go with the Washington football team because I believe in Ron Rivera, what he's been doing, whether it's Haskins or Smith. 3-1
Against
against
his team that he coached.
Yeah, the
before
former
as
team. A
well.
lot of motivation. They love Ron Rivera. 3-1. Washington over the Panthers. Next up, the Broncos and the Chargers, two 5-9 teams. I'll go first on this one. Chargers are the best 5-9 team probably that's ever been in existence. They've lost so many close games. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Gabriel?
Chargers.
Judea?
Broncos.
I think if
Lorenzo?
Justin Herbert or the Chargers overall did not have the record they do right now, I think Justin Herbert might be the rookie of the year.
I
So I'm
agree.
gonna go with the Chargers on this one.
3-1. Chargers over the Broncos. Eagles, Cowboys, even though these teams have losing records, they still both can win the division. Interesting enough, Jalen Hurts has taken over as the starting quarterback. Andy Dalton has been playing better. This is a really tough one. I'm going to have to go with the Dallas Cowboys. Gabriel?
Cowboys.
Judea?
Yeah, Andy Dalton actually did fairly well the last game, so I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Cowboys?
This is a really tough one. I don't think Jalen Hurts will play too well against. I don't know why. I just think that against the Cowboys, I think that he's not going to live up to his hype. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys on this one.
Clean sweep for the Cowboys. Last two games. Rams, Seahawks. Playoff implications with this one. Wow, the Rams lost to the Jets. Talk about a low point in your season. After that performance, I have to go with the Seahawks. Gabriel?
Seahawks.
Judea?
Seahawks.
Seahawks, Lorenzo?
One of the top MVP candidates, Russell Wilson. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks as well.
We all agree the Seahawks win this one. And Monday night, what an exciting time to be a Buffalo Bills fan. The Buffalo Bills are 11-3. They're the 2 seed right now. And they just put up a big billboard in Foxborough, a big Buffalo Bills billboard claiming their fame, their championship of the division. They are going to play their arch rival Patriots and Cam Newton, who they beat the first time around. They got the division pretty much wrapped up. They did wrap it up, and they even have a chance to secure that number 2 seed. I am going with the Buffalo Bills. Gabriel?
Against two? Buffalo.
Patriots.
Buffalo Bills.
Bills? Judea?
I just have a feeling the Patriots could win
Wow.
still.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the
Patriots.
Bills.
Patriots.
Josh Allen, I think he's playing great football right now.
Yes. 3 for the Bills, 1 for the Patriots. Sometimes you got to go with that gut instinct, and that's what Judea is doing. And we want to thank you for tuning in to our first episode of Third and Dad of
First
2020.
episode of the season.
Of the season, you're right. Thank you for correcting me. So, pray you tune in the rest of the weeks. If we have the final 2 weeks of the regular season, then we'll be coming to you for the playoffs as well. We got first, second, third, and Dad. See you next time.